In this second Project Challenge Variables, the students are being asked to write 3 small programs in Python. This is their first applied programming challenge and the first challenge that they'll do in the Vocarium tool. In this challenge, the students are being asked to demonstrate and apply the concepts that we've learned so far in the course, specifically variables, expressions, and assignment statements. There are 3 parts to this assignment: an easy part, a medium part, and a hard part. For the easy part, the students can choose between a small program that computes gas mileage given miles traveled and gallons used, or an alternative small program that determines an average weekly grocery bill based on the last 4 weeks of spending. For the medium part, the students have a choice between a small program that calculates the number of months remaining to pay off a car loan, or that determines the number of oranges that can fit in a shipping container. And for the hard part, they don't have a choice. There's a water bill program that they have to put together that determines the cost of water needed to fill a container like a swimming pool. For each part, we'll grade the students' submissions according to this rubric, which has 4 criterion. There's program completeness, program correctness, good use of variable names to describe values, and using or applying descriptive variable names. So the program completeness, as the name implies, is looking for, does the student's submission include all the necessary steps required to get the desired results given the inputs? For the program correctness, does it actually produce reasonable outputs, correct outputs for those inputs? For the use of variable names, we want to be a little more detailed when we dig into their work here. What we're really looking for is the fact that they apply the idea of naming values. So rather than seeing lots and lots of literal numeric values scattered throughout their code, what we'd like to see is those values stored in a variable with a descriptive name, and then those variables used in the expressions that they use to compute the next set of values, and so on. So rather than a single assignment statement with a complex expression on the right-hand side full of literal values, we'd like to see that complex expression broken down into some simpler expressions, storing those intermediate values in variables with descriptive names, and so on. And then this last criterion here is the naming of the specific variables themselves. Is it an appropriately descriptive name for that variable? As with all of these grading aids, we have some templates for feedback, and in the event that the student's submission is excellent and merits full points, often the feedback can simply be, congratulations, nice job, and maybe pointing out some way that they might stretch themselves on the next assignment. But whenever points are being deducted, these template examples are just starting points. We should always try to be very specific when we give feedback to the students and give them an idea of what they could have done differently or better in order to achieve those points that they lost, or what they should focus on the next assignment so that they do better. One of the other things that you'll find in this specific set of grading aids is a number of target solutions for each of those challenges. For the simple gas mileage and grocery bill, what we're really looking for there is a simple assignment statement that uses an expression to evaluate a value which gets stored in a variable. The medium parts are a little more complex. We're looking for them to store their values in named variables, use those as the components of expressions to calculate intermediate values, and then work their way up to the final value that the program has been asked to compute. And for the more complex, the hard part, the water bill, that just gets a little more complicated. More pieces go into figuring out the cost of the water to fill a container like a swimming pool, and we'd really like to see that broken down into a number of steps and values stored in variables with descriptive names and expressions broken down into simple sub-expressions storing intermediate values in variables and working our way up to a final computed result. So what you'll see below this video is a couple student sample submissions, and what we'd like you to do is go ahead and grade those according to the rubric and check your answers against what we graded those same assignments on according to this same rubric, and try to calibrate your assessment of the student's work.